Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lost-Planning the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small criminal law firm in central Minnesota. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. See the footnotes for more information. It's a long story. That being said, I'm here to give you guys a recap of day 19 of the Karen Read trial. People have expressed that they like these recap videos. And I think the way I like doing them is to really, we'll do a brief overview. I'm going to tell you what happened today in basic terms, and then I'm going to show you the highlight reel, the moment. And of course, it's from axe murderer Alessi out here logging out a rainforest called Shanon Burgess, the man with the hair tuft, the man with the fake education, the man who remains uncredentialed 17 years chasing down that bachelor's degree. By God, one day he'll find it and catch it and wring its little neck and grab his diploma from its rotting corpse. Or he won't, because he's not looking to actually complete his education. They just put that down as sort of a nod to false advertising and to try and bolster a credential and hope people don't look too closely at the subtexted wording of pursuing the degree or look too much into how long he's been pursuing it, because it's been a while, as I said. So let's recap this thing. Let's talk about today. Today started off again with the cross of Shanon Burgess, continuing from the attorney Alessi for Karen Read. And yesterday we got just these brutal moments that are covered in the recap, and you can go watch those, or you can watch the full testimony from yesterday, or as stated, I have a supercut of the entire cross-examination and the recross coming up. We just have the Alessi parts. The Hank Brennan parts are really boring, and it's just him scrambling like a man drowning in a bowl of oatmeal, trying to recoup the damage that's done by Alessi's meticulous deconstruction of this guy, his fake credentials, and his credibility. Because what happened today wasn't a revelation of more fake credentials. Those were fully established yesterday. But what happened today was the application of those fake credentials and lying to the court in real time in front of the jury. It was brutal. There was wailing and moaning, gnashing of teeth, and all of the good stuff. But we did have a finishing of the cross-examination. We had redirect from the state, and then we had recross, and then this man was let go, shattered and broken from his former self. He walked in a ham sandwich, and he walked out something moldy and pathetic on the bottom of a boot that would go into a school bus driven by a man too sad to leave. It was very dramatic. I guess I probably over dramatized that. But after he left, we had another expert come on the stand and start boring everyone to tears. And that testimony will continue tomorrow. Mixed feelings on that witness for the state. Not quite sure how she's being received yet by the jury. I probably have to go back and review it and see how she does on the stand tomorrow. But you can find all of that. The supercut of Alessi is coming, but that would be a multi-hour video, I believe. And so it's going to take just a little bit to get that put together. And as soon as it is, we'll get that uploaded. So keep watching the channel, hit like, hit subscribe. But let's go in to what I think it's the highlight. This is your, ESPN top moment or whatever of the courtroom today. And this is where Alessi has a task. He has a very, very challenging task in law. And that is he needs to get evidence that is very unfavorable to the person on the witness stand. He needs to get that evidence admitted, and the person who can authenticate it and get it into evidence for him, if he asks the proper questions and lays the proper foundation, is the witness. But the witness is for the other side. It's an expert literally paid by the other side to do what he does. So this is someone who is not going to be as easy, you would presume, to not be as easy to go ahead and crack this person and get them to do these things, because they have to authenticate this document. They have to say it's valid. They have to say it accurately reflects reality and the facts and what they know to be true. And if at any time they just say, I don't remember, and you ask if you can refresh their recollection by showing them the document, by having them review it, and they can look at it and say, you know what, I don't know if this is accurate, or someone else prepared it, or someone else filed it. They didn't check with me on this case, or whatever it is. Anything can shut this down. Alessi puts on a masterclass in extracting these foundational details from this guy who's hostile to him. And the extracting of them absolutely shatters his credibility in the next moment. And it's beautiful to see. Less of my yammering and more of the actual action. Here we are, Alessi on cross-exam. Actually, this is recross. So this is after the redirect. Recross of Shanon Burgess. And this is just fantastic. So here we go.
Has a filing ever been made in any court in which your educational background has been misrepresented?
It's a blood in the water question.
Not that I'm aware of.
Pardon me?
Not that I'm aware of.
He's chumming the water right now, except he's the shark. So he's going to dive in and start eating right at this moment. Has a filing ever been made in any court that misrepresents your education?
Did I understand that you're based out of the Aperture office in Texas?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, well, we dealt with that issue. No
And
big deal. It's all good. We moved on to the next thing.
Are you aware of a case in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, titled Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover versus Graphic Packaging International, LLC? Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, I am.
And is it correct that in that case, well, tell me how you are participating in that case, sir.
So I'm no longer participating in that case. So if I believe correctly, that would have been a accident reconstruction case from, I don't recall, a year or two ago.
And so it was a case that you did participate in, correct?
Yes, I did.
I did,
And
yeah.
what was your role in that case?
Sure. So my role in that case was an
Be
accident
sniffing this out.
reconstruction.
And did you provide any testimony, deposition, or otherwise in that case?
No, I did not.
Did you, in that particular case, there were, like all cases, filings made, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
Yeah, probably, I guess. This is law porn right here. I mean, this is how it's done. It's great. And the tension here, this guy is trying to figure out how he's about to get just annihilated, because he spent all yesterday getting embarrassed to the point where his company Aperture started going in and changing the LinkedIn profiles of all of their employees because of this guy, and how publicly destructive it was to have his testimony hit the stand. Now here he is again. He probably has no idea what's coming. Nervous gulp. Drink your bravery potion, buddy.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I would like to have
The
a
Axeman's
document
coming
marked
for
as
you.
the next exhibit for identification,
Okay.
please.
Exhibit EEE for ID.
May May I present to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I am showing you a document which has been marked as Exhibit EEE for identification, and I'd ask that you take a look at it, sir. Your Honor, may I remain here?
Sure, as
Thank
long as you stand back a little bit.
Exactly, yes. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make it even farther.
Thanks, Your Honor. Thanks for giving me instructions on where to stand awkwardly while this guy starts sweating gallons and gallons of liquid.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess, with regard to Exhibit EEE, do you recognize the second page, and do you recognize any stamping at the top of each of those pages?
Yes, I do.
And can you describe what that stamping is?
Sure. So that is stamping for a file date of 8/7/2023.
And
Oh,
is
so it's
that a stamping
filed in a court.
of a federal court?
That I'm not sure.
If I were to show you a document, might a document refresh your recollection as to whether
Sure.
Exhibit EEE is a filing in a federal court?
Yes.
This is
May I,
amazing
Your Honor?
Sure.
I am
Because he
showing you.
almost certainly
Show those to Mr.
doesn't
I-
remember
Thank you, Your Honor.
whatever Alessi's about to show him.
I believe I did, but I want to make sure.
And just let me know if we need to move.
We will, Your Honor. Thank you.
Because
And I
this
want
guy
to
probably
use
is
for identification.
unaware of the filing
Um,
status. Like he didn't, I'm sure he didn't see a copy of the filed document. This is his credentials being filed probably, by an attorney.
see if I could see
Uh,
that.
And it may not have even been prepared by him at all.
It is, so it could be marked.
So this is Alessi asking if he can refresh this man's recollection, but he's actually providing him information, asking him to verify something that he was likely unaware of.
Sir, I am showing you what has been marked. as
Hank Brennan missed the
FFF
objection there.
For identification, and asked whether or not this document can refresh your recollection as to whether the court filing that you reviewed in Exhibit EEE is indeed a federal court.
Yes, it is.
So that document refreshes your recollection that what has been filed as represented in EEE is a filing in a federal court, correct, sir?
Correct.
Now, what I'd like to do.
This guy should
is
never have
draw
admitted to
your
that.
attention
Alessi pulls it off very smoothly.
to the
I'm refreshing your recollection, what you already knew. There's almost no way that guy had personal knowledge of this. This is just excellent.
second page of this exhibit. Is that a curriculum vitae of you and a picture of you?
Yes, it is.
And sir, under education. Objection. I would.
The objection's stayed. Do
Sustained.
you want to bring it over? We can take
I
it
will,
over.
Your Honor.
Jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch.
So they've got a dilemma. And 1 second here, we'll go. I've got it pulled up to the next spot. They've got a dilemma here. I just skipped the sidebar. Nothing special. And that dilemma is very simple. Hank Brennan didn't object before to this guy's likely complete inability to have personal knowledge of this. And that would have maybe still been a failing objection, but the state has received favorable treatment on those objections throughout the trial from the judge. So it's quite possible he could have excluded this and said, Your Honor, he is trying to impute knowledge upon my client, not extract knowledge that is within my client, or not my client, but my witness, not extract knowledge from within my witness. This is not something the witness would have seen or been aware of in that case. Showing him this document isn't refreshing his memory. This would have all been, ideally argued at sidebar, and probably was something that was argued at sidebar, but Hank didn't ask early on. And then you've got the problem that this witness did say that this refreshed his recollection, and he does now remember that that is a document filed in federal court in the I think it's Central District of Texas or Eastern District. It doesn't really matter, but it's filed in a federal court in a case he worked on about a year ago. Now he's gotten those admissions. He's laid foundation. I think it was kind of a risky move to do so, because all this guy had to do is say, I don't recognize that. Someone else must have prepared that document. And obviously I don't file the documents. The lawyers do. Why would he see the filed copy? No idea. But he said it. And so Hank now coming in and objecting to its admission when foundation is pretty much been laid, it's going to be too late in the game. So we're coming back from sidebar now, and Alessi continues. Again, I imagine Hank Brennan went to the judge, objected, and they had a nice little scrum, I think, over the admissibility of these documents and the witness's ability to know personally what they are. And here, let's see what happens. What's the result?
Can I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I'm going to have to be a little close in
Sure.
proximity. Bear with me, please. What I would like to do, sir, is to put before you again Exhibit FF for identification and Exhibit EE for identification. And what I would like to do is to ask you some questions, sir, with regard to the process in the case.
Okay.
Are you aware, or do you recall in this litigation that, as typical in litigation, including federal courts, that as part of the litigation process, the parties have to designate their expert witnesses? Are you aware generally of that process?
Generally, yes.
Yes. And have you participated in the documents that need to be prepared for an attorney or a party to prepare documents and submit them to a court to establish the designation of expert witnesses?
No, I have not.
And so you
So
have
how would
never
he know?
participated or never been aware of a process like this?
No, I'm aware of a process, and that process goes through other staff members
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes through other staff.
He wouldn't
members,
ever see
correct?
this.
at Aperture.
Correct.
But he
Are you
testified that he did.
aware that process
Whoops.
is occurring, even though it may be done by other staff at Aperture?
Yes, I am.
And in this instance, you were aware in this litigation that staff at Aperture needed to submit documents in support of an expert witness designation, correct? Even though you may not have done it yourself, you were aware that some person or persons at Aperture were performing that process, correct?
Correct.
And they were performing that process so that you could be designated as an expert witness in that case, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
So you were aware of the process.
So
were
you-
aware they
You have
had
personal
the
knowledge of the
documents
data that they're
that would
using.
establish
You just didn't prepare it.
your qualifications as an expert in the case so that you could be designated as an expert witness, correct?
Correct.
And now specifically with regard to Exhibit EEE for identification with these court filings, etc., even though you may not have done it yourself, were you aware that this document, which is EEE, was submitted as part of the expert designation process we were talking about?
Not this specific document, no.
Were you aware that a CV was needed to be submitted on your behalf? As part of the
Excellent
designation
question.
process?
Yes.
Because
So
he
you
had to
were
recover
aware a
there.
CV had to be submitted.
See, this guy said, I wasn't aware of this document. Someone else did it, right? So, and that's the likely scenario in this case. Aperture is a company sizable enough to take care of their employees' CVs and maintain that information so that the employees can just do the work, make the reports, collect the data, all of that stuff. So he's likely never seen that actual filing in this case. Alessi rescues this though brilliantly by saying, but you know that this happens and you know that your company did it. And so what he's going to do is ask him, I believe, if what is on that paper accurately reflects what he understands the company to be putting on these papers generally at this time. Alessi has slipped in the back door, so to speak, by doing this. Let's take a look.
But you're saying you don't recall this specific one being submitted?
Correct.
Does the timestamp up at the top of each page of Exhibit EEE, including this page that is your CV, match the timestamp or is it different from the timestamp at the top of Exhibit FFF?
No, that is the same.
So it's exactly the same.
Yes.
And have you been involved in processes in courts where your qualifications, including your CV, have had to be submitted to courts to establish a designation as an expert witness?
Yes.
And can you conclude from these documents, including the timestamps, that the submission that was made to the court to establish your status and as an expert witness consisted of exhibits FFF and EEE?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
He was,
Your Honor,
there's
at this
no
point, I
way.
move EEE and FFF into evidence.
You need one more step, Mr.
So Hank objects to this. There's another foundational question that needs to be asked. But again, this is brilliant legal play by Alessi. You know, it's not often that in these trial commentaries that you get to see a lawyer in real time where they show you that every penny of their price is worth it. Now, Alessi's working pro bono, so that kind of makes it seem cheap, but you know, this is not a low paid attorney. Generally, this is a very experienced attorney who has probably a very respectable hourly rate, and he would be worth every single penny if your life, your freedom, whatever is on the line, because what he's doing here is the difference between a younger attorney who doesn't lack that experience or doesn't maybe doesn't even know that they would need to do this or could try this out. This is where he comes in and uses that skill masterfully to pull this off, to get this guy to admit to the authenticity of something that he almost guarantees had never seen before this moment.
And sir, do EEE and FFF fairly and accurately represent
This is it.
the submission of documents in support of a designation of expert witness in this case?
Yes, as far as I can tell.
Your Honor, I offer these two into evidence.
I'm going to allow it.
May I have briefing?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it over your objection. Boom. Headshot. Alessi is out here dropping stacks because, again, he just got this guy to authenticate documents that he's never seen. Almost 100% guarantee he has never seen those documents. He was unaware of anything other than a vague notion that documents would be filed on his behalf in support of his expert qualification. What he does is he shows him the documents and gets him to the question of, do these documents accurately reflect what you understand your CV to be at the time, and what Aperture would have had prepared and the lawyers would have filed on your behalf? Is this an accurate representation of the factual representation to the court? And the guy says yes. Brilliant. This is absolutely phenomenal. It's a type of lawyering, like I said, you don't see very often. One, the situation usually doesn't arrive like this. Typically, there's some other plan to authenticate this document that they need to get in because it's part of their strategy. And this was one that really was a dice roll, and it relied on the witness making several admissions, probably just under the pressure of the situation, the hammering he got the day before, his desire to appear open and honest after appearing deceitful and slimy for an entire day, and being absolutely demolished by the internet and significant deserved ridicule overnight. So he comes in, and it's like he wants to perform in a way where he doesn't look like the scumbag that he looked like yesterday. Alessi takes advantage of that, and he is able to get this guy to bring these documents in. And it is checkmate on this witness after that, because I'm sorry, we just brought in the documents you said didn't exist. And then you just said they did. And you authenticated them. You showed us that this happened. But just a little bit ago, you said, no, I've never had my credentials misrepresented in court. Oh, that's the spoiler alert. You can go if you watch the whole thing, or if you watch that supercut video that's coming out. Spoiler alert. His credentials are misrepresented in this filing, and it is absolutely delicious. It is devastating to his credibility. And like I said, Alessi pulled it out of him. Masterful lawyering, excellent cross exam. The whole thing's good, even though it's sometimes a little tedious just because his expertise is a highly technical one, and some of the jargon and the lingo that is exchanged gets a little bit, we'll say, specialized. A unique and very narrow vernacular that gets a little monotonous. That being said, that's your recap. Day 19. Very dramatic, intense action coming from Alessi, and really bringing home devastating cross exam of Shanon Burgess, a disaster for the state, who lacks credibility. And his entire testimony was about creating a system where they just adjusted the numbers to where they needed them to be to fit their preconceived bias. And that's pulled out of him as well. It's a fun time. And speaking of that, I'm a fun guy. I'm a lot of fun. I'm a ton of fun, but I do have to go. Thanks for checking out these recaps. I know I've gotten good feedback on them, so I'll keep doing them whenever I have time. We'll catch you 8 a.m. on the 21st of May, 8 a.m. Central Time. We'll be resuming this trial coverage for day 20 of Karen Reed. Come join me. Until then, peace.